What's good, everyone? OJ here. Welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be talking about Persona 5 Strikers and why it is not a Warriors game. There is still a lot of confusion about this game when it comes to the West because we're getting it at this point, although it launched last year. A lot of people haven't seen footage of it or have seen very little footage and have already proclaimed that it's a Warriors game despite there not being Warriors anywhere in the title. And Koei Tecmo's usually pretty good if a game is a Warriors game, saying that, hey, it's called Hyrule Warriors, or it's called One Piece Pirate Warriors, or it's called Fire Emblem Warriors. But this game, Persona 5 Strikers, is not called Persona 5 Warriors, it's called Persona 5 Strikers. And there's good reason for that, because this is not a Warriors game, despite what some people might tell you on the internet. Now, I'm going to go over a number of different things what makes this title, Persona 5 Strikers, not a Warriors game. And this is coming from somebody who's played a lot of Warriors games, especially the themed Warriors games, Fire Emblem Warriors. I've played a little bit of One Piece Pirate Warriors, not really my thing. I'm not really big into One Piece, but it seems like it's good enough. I've also played Hyrule Warriors. I've played Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. I've played a lot of themed Warriors games, and I just know the structure and what they do and the story, the level design. We're going to break it down one by one, and I'm also going to give you guys some more of my thoughts on the Japanese demo that's up on the Japanese eShop. If you want to pick that up, you have to make an account. All that stuff is out there. You guys can Google it. You can search it yourself in terms of how to get that demo. It's not very hard at all. But yeah, I played a lot more of it last night to kind of just solidify what I'm going to be talking about in this video. Now, the first thing that you have to realize, guys, with a Warrior style game, it's the structure. Warriors games pretty much follow the same base structure with a few different degrees of difference between them when it comes to like side quests or other things like that. Now, there's different stuff that you can do within the map, but essentially Warriors games, what they do is that they have like a cutscene, they have something that happens, you get dropped into a map or a certain level, and it's a big level. There's lots of areas to go, and there's strong points or holds that you have, right? That you have to kind of liberate those areas and take control of them in order to gain additional resources, unlock some things, progress through the story, gameplay, whatever the case is, right? Warriors games are famous for that. They all do that. Fire Emblem Warriors did it. Hyrule Warriors Original did it. Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity does it. Pirate Warriors. I mean, like, they all do this when it comes to it, right? Some of them, Samurai Warriors and some other games, just kind of have like a bunch of enemies and maybe you'll just go through that way. But many of the mainstay in terms of Warriors games have that in there. And in Persona 5 Strikers, while there might be some of that in some of the later stuff that maybe that I have not seen, the structure of it is completely different. They don't drop you in a map to capture different strong points and holds. The first thing you do once you're in the demo is that there's a lot of story. The structure is set up just like a Persona 5 game or a Persona game. You have options for dialogue, you have your friends, you have cutscenes. It literally looks like they took Persona 5, the regular game, and said, hey, this is just more of Persona 5. It is not structured like a Warriors game to where you're kind of just like watching a cutscene, then you go into a level with pretty much little cutscenes. You know, the cutscenes aren't too long. Some of them can get longer in some of the games, but these ones in Persona 5 Strikers are extremely long. They're very dialogue heavy with you picking options, very much like Persona 5. So the structure right from that point is already jacked up because Warriors games don't make you wait that long, and they don't keep you in cutscenes that long, and they usually don't give you a lot of different dialogue options to pick from. But it's structured when it comes to this game, Persona 5 Strikers, just like Persona 5, which is a good thing if you're a Persona 5 fan, of course. Now, if you're talking about level design, once again, in this game, especially when you first play the demo, right, you go into a level and it might seem like it's a Warriors game, right? You have like this open area, there's a bunch of enemies coming at you, you're thinking, okay, yeah, it's like a Warriors game. But that changes up very quickly because you get overrun by too many enemies, and in most Warriors game, it's like too many enemies, that's a good thing. I'm just gonna power up, I'm gonna do my specials over and over, I'm just gonna destroy like 1,000 people here. But in this one, there's too many, and you actually have to flee the area. And once you flee the area, you get dropped into a dungeon style of gameplay, or like a labyrinth style of gameplay, where you're going to be going about through different areas. You're going to be fighting enemy encounters in smaller bits that can take seconds to beat, not like a whole map. For example, like a Warriors game, where you're probably going to be in that map for at least, for the main missions, at least about a good 15 minutes or so. Some of them could be shorter, but these are different in terms of Persona 5 Strikers and how it's structured. It's not dropping you in a big map and telling you to capture this point or that point. It's not telling you to, hey, you have to do all this with these different people, and then like you have to switch between them, and then you can control them that way. You're Joker, and then your other party members attack automatically, and they're right there with you. You're not sending them off to other areas, which a lot of Warriors games do, where you can take somebody, then send them off somewhere else. They all stick together like it was Persona 5. So the structure, the story, the level design, everything that you would expect for a Warriors game is completely thrown out here, and it's very much similar to a regular action RPG. So this is how I see Persona 5 Strikers. I see it as an action RPG version of Persona 5 with combat elements from Warriors games. Now, here's the thing that's similar, why some people are getting kind of tripped up. Because yeah, there are multiple areas where you'll have lots of enemies coming at you and everything, and the combat system. If you've played a Warriors game, you'll be very familiar with the combat system and how it works. Heck, you can start doing combos, launchers, hitting people up into the air, comboing, doing different things. The same button combinations and how a Warriors game plays, it's very similar with the combat. So yeah, they have taken that. They have taken some elements from the Warriors game. You have like your special, once you defeat enough enemies, you can activate a big super move, but there's so many things that are ripped out from that. Like I said, from the structure, the story, the level design, that are not from a Warriors game. And one of the biggest elements of any Warriors game is the fact that there are a ton of Warriors. That's the whole point, right? You have a ton of people that you can use, usually 10 to up to hundreds of people, right? But in the themed Warriors games, usually it's smaller just because they don't have as many characters to pick from. So for example, like Hyrule Warriors, there's like 15 plus characters in that one. Fire Emblem Warriors, there's like 20 characters in that one, plus like the DLC and everything. In this game, Persona 5 Strikers, you're not gonna have like 15 to 20 people to pick from. You have your team members that you know if you played the first game, and that's what you get. Now, there might be some secrets here and there, but for the most part, you're not going to be doing what you do in the other Warriors games, where you have like a bunch of people and you're shuffling them and all that, like Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity or anything like that. So that's also another big, I would say, takeaway from this, is that it doesn't do that. And that is the staple of Warriors games. So like I stated before, I kind of see it as a Persona action RPG with some Warriors combat elements. That's the biggest thing, is that some of the combat with like enemies coming at you and how many there are, and also the button controls and how it's structured, how the combat works, definitely like a Warriors game. But everything else that makes a Warriors game is not there. So therefore, I don't feel that it's really a Warriors game at all, because Warriors games all have a certain design, structure, and style, and Persona 5 Strikers doesn't fit that. There's way too much talking, there's way too much dialogue and options and stuff that you saw in Persona 5 to make this one a Warriors game. And I think that was intentional. They didn't want it to be that. Like I said, it would have been called Persona 5 Warriors if they wanted it to be a Warriors game, but it's called Persona 5 Strikers to kind of more fit the action aesthetic of the game. You're striking over and over, you're hitting. It's more of an action-based game. Now, I did play the demo once again. I already covered this game last year in terms of the Japanese demo, but one of the things that I love about this game is all of the other stuff that you can do. I love like the platforming parts in this game. There's a lot of that. Even in the demo, you get a little glimpse of that. I love the fact that they've included some of the Phantom Thieves type of stuff, right? You can kind of go on top and sneak around and ambush your enemies. There's a lot of elements into this game that kind of take naturally from what you really couldn't do in Persona 5 with the turn-based RPG. And then they say, hey, well, wait a minute, this is an action RPG, so we can kind of set this up a bit different than what you would expect because of the type of combat, because of you have free movement, because you can freely jump, double jump, move to different areas, access higher areas and everything. It's actually really cool what they've done here, and I love that about it because they gave them the freedom and liberty to kind of take some of the ideas that you saw in cutscenes or that you saw play out in different ways, but actually give you control of that in Persona 5 Strikers. So I think that's a testament to the developers over there at Koei Tecmo W-Force. They're able to kind of take their engine that they have, take what they've got, and kind of make a game completely based around the theme of what the copyright holder wants them to do, whether it's a Age of Calamity war and they're kind of trying to simulate that, right? So it makes sense for that setting, or they're trying to say, hey, well, Persona 5, they're not sitting there and they're not doing some of this stuff that like strong points and holds and all of that. So I love the structure of this game and how they've set it up, because I always do like the combat in Warriors games. Just some people get tired of consistently doing certain things over and over, but this game kind of alleviates that because of the different stuff, because of the platforming, because of the individual encounters where you beat them. It's like a regular action RPG encounter. It ends, you get your experience, you get your gold, and then you move on. You continue on through like the dungeon or the labyrinth or whatever. It's not just you constantly fighting over and over and over and over like a typical Warriors game in a large map. So they really kind of tune this one more towards that action RPG route, and it works perfectly because I already played Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity and got my fix for that style, and now this one's a little bit different. I can take the really cool combat elements that I do like in a Warriors game and apply it to an action RPG in a franchise that I absolutely love, with Persona 5 being my favorite Persona game of all time. So I think it's really good. I think that the gameplay is fun. I think that the game is going to be awesome, whether you buy it on whatever platform. And I will have more compare and contrast, and I will have more content on Persona 5 Strikers in the next week or so. So make sure you keep it locked right here on PlayerEssence. We are going to have a lot of Persona 5 Strikers content on this channel. So what do you guys think about Persona 5 Strikers if you've gotten a chance to play it? What are your thoughts on the game? I'd love to hear what you have to say in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Check out the links in the description. We've got Twitter. Go and give us a follow on there. Stay up to date on all the latest gaming news and information. Also, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video if you can. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will catch you for the next one. Peace.